Okay, here's the second part to painting black numbers on the dice, or numbers of any color, on the 3D printed resin dice. In the previous video I slathered the dice in black paint, just simple acrylic paint that you can buy at any arts and crafts store or Walmart or wherever. And I've let the paint dry. This is only about half an hour after I shot the previous video. And you can see the dice look very messy at this point. But now we are going to wipe that paint off. We're going to wipe it off using acetone. You can get acetone at a hardware store under the paint section, the paint thinner section, all those things. Specifically look for it. It should be called acetone. It usually comes in big metal cans. I simply have mine stored in a glass jar that's a little more easily unstoppered and poured. You will want to wear nitrile gloves, I guess. Acetone shouldn't be handled too freely. It's not terribly bad, to be honest. I've done this without wearing gloves, but just to be, completely safe, and on a YouTube video, just pick up some cheap disposable nitrile blue gloves, and that should be fine. What you're going to do is you're going to soak paper towels in the acetone, get them very wet, and then just scrub the surface of these dice. That will remove the surface black paint that's dried on the flat faces of the dice, but it should leave the paint in the indentions of the numbers. Now when you do this, you're going to notice the acetone, your fingers, even through the gloves, are going to get very cool, almost cold. You're not dying or anything. The acetone evaporates very quickly, and that very quick evaporation cools down your fingers. But here we go. So I just dampen. You should also do this in a well-ventilated room. Take the typical safety precautions, whatever the acetone says on the bottle that you get of it. So you see what I'm doing. I've dampened the cloth, the paper. This is just paper towel, and I'm scrubbing the face of the dice. And the paint is coming off, the dried paint. Now, as the paint accumulates on the paper towel, that lessens the ability of it to wipe more paint off the die. So just fold it over to a cleaner side of the paper towel, soak it, and then you can scrub. And you can press pretty hard. You may have to press. You may have to go over this a couple times, but eventually the acetone will break down the dried acrylic paint. It's not the quickest process in the world. This is why, you charge a lot more if you ink dice for someone else. You charge them for the inking, because this is not something you want to do all the time. But it's, again, do it in a well-ventilated area. You're going to smell the acetone, but it's not super, super dangerous at all, really. It's just a typical kind of paint thinner and so forth. So here is the 36-sided die. Again, there are a couple trouble spots where the paint doesn't want to come up. Just fold the paper towel again, and you can really just buff it. But this came out pretty well. And now, of course, the numbers on the dice are much more readable. So you just have to do that with the other dice. Here's the orange 20-sided. And you can see that face scrubs off very cleanly. And you're not affecting the resin, the cured resin of the dice at all. So you're not destroying the integrity of the dice. If you notice while you're scrubbing away the paint, if you missed a number, or paint did not fill into the numbers very well, you can always just repeat this whole process. Dab it with some wet acrylic paint, let it dry again, and then scrub it down again. And like here, the one, I didn't quite get enough paint in that one, it didn't go in, so I can go back and touch up on that. Again, not a terribly hard process, but it's also not a super quick process. So it just kind of gets very tedious, which is why people charge a lot of money if they ink dice for you. But that's the process. I'll do the rest of these. You get the idea. So for the first step, you just want plain acrylic paint, paintbrush. Just slather it on, let it dry. And then for the second step, you want acetone. You should probably wear gloves when you're dealing with it, and just paper towels to scrub things down. And that's pretty much it. And with a little work, you can end up with dice that are quite readable. Thank you very much.